All right, everybody, let's go ahead and get started. First and foremost, we look at the charts. So CoinMarketCap now is at $263 billion. It has dropped 1.1% over the last 24 hours. Bitcoin dominance has risen just a little bit, 69.4%. So it meant some of the altcoins lost some money. Good morning, Richard from Gardena. Hey, Richard, did you get yourself figured out yet? Let me know. Let's see here. Bitcoin is currently $10,193. It's remained at the 10,000 mark for maybe about the past week. Yeah, because the last 7 days it's been down 1.1%. So the market's kind of flatline right now. If I'm looking at the last 7 days, the top 4 or 5 coins, except EOS. EOS was up 15% the last 7 days, but down 2% 24 hours. Pretty much flat right now. All right. Let's look at some articles. First up, want to do that one yet? No, not yet. Bitcoin is shooting to, wait, do I want to do that one? What was the other article? Shooting to 20,000 this year. I'll start with this one. Former Democratic congressman cautions Washington not to botch crypto regulations. Now, this is Harold Ford Jr. I actually worked with him in DC. He was one of the youngest congressmen at 28 years old. I was at the time 21. Yeah, 1998. I was 21, going on 22, and he was 28. So being young in DC, I had a chance. I used to eat lunch with him all the time. I didn't work for him. I worked for actually Congressman Jose Serrano from the Bronx, but Harold Ford from Tennessee. So me, a couple of other interns would hang out with him, and he would always give us some nuggets and tidbits. Since he was a law graduate, he took the seat over from his father, who had that seat for, I don't know, 30, 40 years. But it was cool. That was good times in DC. So what does he have to say? So understand, he's from the, can I say younger generation? Because if I'm 43, that means he's got to be 50 or 51 right now. Harold Ford Jr., a former Democratic congressman who represented Tennessee's 9th District in the U.S. House of Representatives, is warning Congress about the repercussions of screwing up regulations for emerging cryptocurrencies. You know what? I have a side story I got to tell real quick. It's actually because of him and Congressman Patrick Kennedy that got me into the direct selling industry before, because that was 7-8 months before I joined my first network marketing company, summer of '98. I was having lunch with them, and they were asking us questions. You know, the school we went to, what are we studying, what do we plan to do in the future, and I told them, they were asking, what are your plans? I said, well, I'm going to graduate from college. I'm going to go to law school. When I graduate from law school, either start my law practice and become a congressman or something like you, Harold. And Patrick Kennedy asked me some more detailed questions. He said, okay, where are you from? I said, Los Angeles. He said, do you come from a wealthy family? No, not successful family, but not wealthy family. He said, do you have access to wealth? Not really. And he said, the reason why, if you have access to wealth, then you have people that can sponsor you so that you can go out there and make contacts and create more network of other people with that have money that can back you. If you don't, then here's what's going to happen. If you're working a 9-to-5 job you're not going to have enough time nor make enough money to do what you need to do. He said, if I were you, what you want to do, because this was 1998. We were getting into the turn of the new century, the 21st century. This is Patrick Kennedy. Who was Patrick Kennedy? He was the son of Ted Kennedy. Was it Ted Kennedy? Yeah, Ted Kennedy was his father. So Patrick Kennedy, and I'll post a picture. I think I posted a picture of me, him, and Congressman Dick Gephardt when I was a young kid. But he said, if I were you, this is what I would do. I would find a product to sell. Or better yet, he said, I would find a way to have 100,000 people give you $1 every single month. You live in a city of 8 million people. Find 100,000 people that will give you $1 every single month. That way you now have $100,000. $100,000. Now you don't have to work a 9-to-5 job. You have enough money that's going to pay all of your bills, your expenses. You have enough money to start donating to other political campaigns that get you into the door to make more networks. You can fund some things. And you have all the time. You don't have to, spend 48 hours a week on a job. And then he went and started talking with Harold about this stuff. You about to leave, my man? All right, have a good day. So it was when that conversation, it stuck with me. It was like 4 of us at the table, interns, Harold Ford and Patrick Kennedy. And that stuck with me. I was like, that makes sense. If I find 100,000 people that give me $1 every single month, and then 6-7 months later, I was introduced to ACN, and I saw the concept of not leveraging my time, leveraging other people. And the rest is history. I retired and walked off my job at the age of 35. It didn't happen overnight. It took me more than 10 years. But that was a better story than retiring at 67 or 70 and be broke. So that stuck with me. Anyways, I owe a lot to Harold Ford. All right, so Harold Ford Jr., a former Democratic congressman who represented Tennessee's 9th District in the U.S. House of Representatives, is warning Congress about the repercussions of screwing up regulations for emerging cryptocurrencies. Looks like Harold Ford's about to be granting me another gift since my profession and now is in the cryptocurrency space. In an op-ed published by CNBC, Ford urges the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission to take the lead on drafting a clear regulatory framework that works with the industry. You know what? I'm going to do another Facebook Live later. I'm going to share that story. I'm going to turn the camera on. I haven't shared that story maybe in 10 years. That's a powerful story. Anyways, in an op-ed published by CNBC, Ford urges the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission to take the lead on drafting a clear regulatory framework that works with the industry and not against it, calling digital assets the next wellspring of innovation for the American economy. He writes, when it comes to the development and regulation of cryptocurrencies, many in Washington have been producing more heat than light. A patchwork of federal agencies, from the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, CFTC, to the Internal Revenue Service, IRS, and Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, FinCEN, have laid claim to different portions of emerging regulatory landscape, absent an overarching framework. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, however, has gotten the most attention in the vacuum left without a regulatory framework. However, in response to a growing demand for comprehensive regulations that effectively eradicate doubt, the SEC released a non-binding set of guidelines that were wholly unapproved by the Commission. Published in April, the SEC's Framework for Investment Contract Analysis of Digital Assets aims to show how traditional policies can be applied to the new technology. The authors noted, this framework represents staff views and is not a rule, regulation, or statement of the commission. The commission has neither approved nor disapproved of its content. See, that's the problem here. That's a problem. They make statements that's broad and open, that's open for interpretation, but won't disapprove it or approve it. So what are we supposed to do? Ford says the document runs the risk of prompting innovators to flee the country amidst more confusion. Yes. The SEC may suggest one course of action only to shift course, change the rules, and move the goalpost. Even with the push from major companies that are entering the space, such as Intercontinental Exchange, Fidelity, TD Ameritrade, E-Trade, or Facebook, signaling big money interests, a lack of regulations can hamper the outcome. The SEC now has the opportunity to take the lead on regulation that works with industry, not against it. Together, U.S. lawmakers and regulators can get this right. I like that. You can check out his op-ed, and I'll read that privately later. But he's right. If we don't, or in other words, if the government does not kind of get out of the way of this, we're going to lose our innovation. And our brightest minds are going to move to it, just like in California. California's got so much strict business laws that businesses are leaving. They're going to Nevada, they're going to Utah, they're going to Arizona, running them out. That's not smart for our long-term progress for the United States. All right. Next up. This one first, the analysis. How long does it take to turn a profit on Bitcoin? How long does it take? Well, that depends. I haven't read this article yet, so I'm gonna give my own little answer to this. There's many different ways that you can make money with Bitcoin or turn a profit. The most simplistic thing I teach, and again, I am not a licensed financial advisor, but I suggest, like my mom, for example, is to set yourself a budget, and like you would have a certain amount of money going into your savings account every month, have a certain amount of money buying Bitcoin every month, whether it's weekly, daily, weekly, or monthly. Whatever it is that you can afford, don't worry about the cost of Bitcoin today. Don't say, I'm going to wait till it drops to start to buy, because you're not day trading on this. You are buying to hold, and you're holding it for the long term. And I've already covered articles that talked about what that potential can be in the next 5 to 10 years. So that is one way. I have my own story. I first bought Bitcoin in 2016. When it was in the $600 range. I sold it 2 months later when it was almost $800 a coin, and I made a profit. That was the most expensive Bitcoin I've ever sold. Why? I sold it at $800 freaking dollars. And 1 year later, it got to almost 20,000 a coin. 1 year later. Hindsight, right? However, 2017 September, when I started to invest again, I started with 30 bucks. 30 bucks. And I flipped that into 6 figures by the end of the year. Almost 4 months. Now, it wasn't just one thing that I did. There's a lot that I did during that time, but I started with 30. What allowed me to make that happen was education. I was able to maneuver in different ICOs, different opportunities, knew when to buy, when to sell, different altcoins that, started off at 2 cents. Next thing you know, it's worth $40 and then crashed again. And I sold before it crashed. Little things I did that my education allowed me to navigate. I lost money too. I lost 50K. But I made far more money than I lost because of my education in it. So it depends on, people can go to decide, I'm going to mine. and turn a profit. There's many different things you can do. But what does this guy says? How long it takes to turn a profit on Bitcoin? New data is shedding light on how long it takes to ensure a profit on Bitcoin. And again, those of you that still don't have any education, I know people that invested hundreds of thousands of dollars and had no idea what they were doing because they never got crypto education. We have it now. Economics. And here's the best thing. You can sign up for free. And it doesn't matter if you're doing anything else. You don't have to stop what you're doing to get educated. You can get in the door for free. Why would you say no? Anyways, according to Twitter analyst Bitcoin Economics, in order to have a 100% profit probability on Bitcoin, traders have to hold it for 1,135 days. That's a little over 3 years. Oh, really? Really? I have a saying when I was in the trading, doing day trading, and back in 2017, no matter what you invested, you were at least 60 days away from turning a profit. 60 days. Now, I came up with that formula because there were a bunch of companies open at the time that were promising 1% a day, 2% a day, we'll double your money in 30 days. However, you got to give us your money and we'll hold on to it to make money for you. I figured out the formula was 60 days to break even. And if you got involved with any of those programs, I would always suggest pull your profit out to at least break even after 60 days, and the rest is house money. The rest is house money. Remember, what is my rule number 3? Always get your return on investment back as fast as possible. I have one gentleman that he would not listen to me. He was making so much money. He got to 100,000 and he kept going. He was trying to get to 200,000 before he started. I said, look, please, man, at least pull out 50K. Nah, if I keep at this pace, it's only going to take me another 30 days and I'll be pulling like $3,000 a day. I just got to hold on for a little bit longer. And I said, don't do that. Stretch it out. Don't get greedy on this. Pull it out. Program went under before any of that happened. He lost everything. That's why I have my 4 rules. But at that time, you're just anywhere between 60 days from a complete turnaround. So this guy says, if you buy it and hold it for 3 years, you have a 100% profit probability. By comparison, it takes an average of 23 years to ensure 100% profitability on the S&P 500. Okay, now I like that stat. The analysis is largely based on Bitcoin's big jump to $1,150 in 2013. Traders who bought at that level soon watched BTC plummet and had to wait 1,135 days until it returned to that value in 2017. Here's an overview of how long traders have historically had to wait before achieving a high probability that their Bitcoin has risen in value. After day 1, 50%. After 35 days, 60. 110 days, 70. 317 days, 75. 461, 80. 663, 90. And after 1,335 days, 100%. That's just based off of history. I think in the future, that number is going to skyrocket. Once we get to about halfway through 2020, 2021, and beyond, that's going to happen you're going to see Bitcoin leapfrog. It'll take 11 years for it to get to 20,000 or a little over 20,000. And then it'll take 2 years for it to double that. Or let's say if it took 5 years, it took 11 years to get to 20,000. And then another 5 years to go from 20,000 to 50,000. And then to go from 50,000 to 250,000. What if that happens in a year and a half? 2023, 2024, or better yet, 2026, 2027. I'm looking at 10 years now. 10 years. I started at 41 in crypto. I'm 43 now. Things did not go the way I had planned for the last year and a half. I had a 10-year plan on that to 50, so I go 53. 10 years. Let's see. All right, that's good to know. So that just solidifies what I say. If you just sit on it for next 5 to 10 years, you'll be good. Okay, now the last are Bitcoin shooting to $20,000 this year, with 5 to 10 altcoins worth attention, predicts Shapeshift CEO Eric Voorhees. 20,000 this year? He's still predicting that? The unknown I have is back September 23rd. I don't know how the market's going to react to that. All right, man, have a good day. I don't know how the market's going to react to that. If it follows what the CME and the CBOE did December 17, 2017, the market's going to drop. Why will it drop when institutional investors come in? Because they want to hit the reset button and start it over. But Bitcoin right now is just at the $10,000 mark, half of what it was in 2017, December. So maybe they won't. Maybe they'll say this is low enough. I doubt it. These guys are greedy. They want to maximize profit. So it's in their best interest for Bitcoin to drop down to $5,000, $6,000. And then while everybody else that has no education and they freak out and panic sell, they gobble up all the coins and then let it roll all the way back up to 20K. That's what I would do. So I'm just saying. So Bitcoin continues to move sideways just above $10,000 as traders try to predict which way it will break next. But the CEO of crypto exchange startup Shapeshift isn't sweating the day-to-day price action. You see that? Don't sweat what the price is right now. Eric Voorhees says he thinks BTC is on track to return to its all-time highs this year. He tells Ethereum World News that everyone should own BTC, but he believes crypto traders need to develop a long-term mindset and realize they could lose it all. Absolutely. I think we'll be over 20K by year end. And 2020 will be the next bubble cycle, regardless of halving. Really? Regardless of the halving? However, I make lots of predictions because it's fun and I'm usually wrong. Crypto is a long-term project, and I'm always extremely speculative. Everyone should own some, and they should assume it'll go to zero. When they're comfortable with that, then they're ready. Same with you guys. Here's one thing that I always share. When I do Bitcoin boot camps across the country, I say, the one thing I can guarantee is you're going to lose money. I can guarantee you that. What I do not know is when, where, or how much. The important thing is what happens, what you do after that situation occurs. When the time comes that you do lose, and you will, what you do next is what's most important. If you followed the 4 rules, then when you do lose, you're not going to be hurt. It's just a setback. It's a step back. Take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. If you're not prepared, if you're trying to, make fast money, because somebody told you they made a lot of money in 30 days, and you get in and you don't know what's going on, you never got through education, and you lose money, you're going to think it's a scam. You took too big of a risk. You use your rent money, your house money. You go into depression, and you say screw crypto and go back to your 9-to-5 job or whatever else you're doing. That's the worst thing. You weren't ready. You had no business being in the space in the first place. What is rule number 1? Education is key. Education is everything. That is why we launched economics, not to be a competitor to any company, not to say you got to stop what you're doing and come over here, but to be able to teach what I was never taught, indirect selling, what to do with the money now that you've made it. I can't tell you how many 7-figure earners end up sleeping on somebody's couch or living in a car, but still acting like they got a lot of money for their team because they spend all their money trying to showboat and show the life. It's a roller coaster. It's not always just up, 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 and up. You need education, and you do yourself and your team a disservice by not helping them get it. I got a meeting with a guy from Carrot Bars. He wants me to speak to his entire downline, and he's signing them all up in economics. Whoa, what? We're not competition. We're education. That's going to help him in his business. One thing he said, I'm tired of people coming up to me asking me 1,000,001 questions. Go get educated. It's free to sign up. They can choose whatever package they want to get after that. Anyways, he says, let's talk about altcoins now. When it comes to the future of altcoins, Voorhees says Bitcoin maximalists are forgetting the principles of decentralization and should root for more than a simple winner-take-all outcome in the crypto market. I find it really sad and ironic that Bitcoin maximalists who are allegedly in favor of decentralization advocate for a world with only one monolithic blockchain. Okay, let me show you the point that he's making that I agree with here. When we look at the market cap, there's 3 key factors that I look for to tell that we are in a bull, healthy market. Number 1, market cap needs to be over 300 billion. Number 2, Bitcoin needs to be over $10,000 a coin. Number 3, Bitcoin dominance needs to be below 50%. This year, we've reached these 2. Market cap did get over 300 billion, and Bitcoin got almost to $14,000 a coin. But the dominance did not drop below, I don't think it dropped below 60%. What that told me is that this is a Bitcoin flash bull run this year, not a market bull run. The altcoins remained steady. You need the altcoins as well. This is not a one coin all industry. Now, yeah, there's 5,651 coins out there, and there's going to be a whole lot more. Kim Kardashian's going to come out with a coin. We just read the other day about Manny Pacquiao's coming out with his own coin or token. Kanye West is going to have his own coin. Dallas Cowboys is going to have their own coin. Every agency and corporation, I'm Bitcoin Brandon. I'm going to have my own coin. But the most of these coins you see out here are going to go away. They're going to die. There's no use for them. But you're still going to have a good 50 to 100 coins, legitimate, if not more, around the world. And they're all going to grow. So it's not just one coin that rules them all. It's not, I'm about to say, yeah, Lord of the Rings. It was one ring. It said one coin to rule them all. All right. He says, I find it really sad and ironic that Bitcoin maximalists who are allegedly in favor of decentralization advocate for a world with only one monolithic blockchain. Do you know what the gig economy is? The gig economy is the decentralization of the workforce. It's like that's what decentralization of crypto, of the finances, of money. The fact that you can have multiple gigs making you money. What's your gig? You driving Uber? You doing Lyft? You doing Amazon? You doing coffee? You doing travel? You doing oils? What's your gig? What else you got going on? You make your own hours. You do your own private contracts. You do your own consulting. We're moving away from the Industrial Revolution way of an economy, working on the factory for 48 hours a week. Self-employment. It's the gig. It's the gig economy. I remain extremely bullish on Bitcoin, and it's obviously the most important blockchain by far. But a world in which the only crypto is Bitcoin is a poor world. I'd rather avoid endorsing other specific projects, but there are at least 5 to 10 others than Bitcoin which are worth attention. I agree. I agree with them. As for Facebook's digital asset Libra, Voorhees says he thinks the social media giant's initial plan is overly ambitious and expects it will eventually be watered down. I agree with that. Because everyone knew they were working on something. But when the details finally emerged, and I think that they pulled the gun on that too quick, I think Facebook shouldn't have said nothing until 2020. But when the details finally emerged, it was clear they were creating a supranational currency rather than just a one-to-one US pegged asset, which is a stable coin. This was brave of them and got them tons of antagonism from the governments. I'm skeptical that Facebook will be able to launch Libra in its current form. I agree. And fear they will capitulate, water it down, and release a stablecoin asset with little innovation behind it. But we will see. I agree with them on that. What I don't know is that will Bitcoin reach 20,000 by the end of this year? I'll better assess that at the end of the month. When Bakkt's trading desk opens on September 23rd, and we see what the institutional investors do, and then we see how the market reacts for the next 2 weeks after that, I'll be able to have a good idea of how this year is going to end out. I personally hope that it drops to the 6,000 range, 7,000 range, and stays there, and at most we'll be pushing 10 to 11,000 by the end of the year. I personally hope so. And then that gives us 5 months, January to May, to hoard as much as we possibly can before the halving takes place. Now, it's interesting. I got to look at that again. Voorhees said something about the halving not matter. Was it in this article? Where did I read that? I think we will be over 20K by the end of the year, and 2020 will be the next bubble cycle regardless of halving. The next bubble cycle. So he's saying that it will go over 20,000 by this year, but then next year it will crash back down again, regardless of the halving. I don't agree with that. I think that 2020 is going to be fueling of the rocket. Right now, everybody's just getting their seat on the rocket ship. Staging, like how economics is right now in Ripple One. We're in staging. Everybody can sign up for free. They can look at our on-demand video library for free before they gain access to our educational materials. You can start to build your influencer base for free. That's where Bitcoin and stuff is right now. And then when we go into the next ripples, the next phases, you're going to start putting fuel in the rocket to prepare for takeoff. That's what Ripple 2 is going to be about, fueling the ship. That's what I think the first half of 2020 is going to be about, fueling Bitcoin. And then you're going to reach the next ripple. For us, that's our pre-launch and launch in economics. But that's when the rocket ship takes off. And yeah, if that sucker does go to 50,000, it'll correct right back down to maybe 30,000 or so, but it ain't ever coming back down below 10,000 when that rocket takes off. That's all I'm saying. We are on borrowed time right now. I am not playing. It's got me extremely frustrated at the same time. I wish I had the $5 million in resources because I know exactly what to do. An extra $200,000, $300,000. That's what we're working hard for to make that happen by the end of this year. Extra. Your investment money. But anyways, we still are in very good times, ladies and gentlemen. We're still about where the internet was 1995. That's where we're at. Every single one of you is in the top 1% of even knowing about the, what can I say? The trajectory, what Bitcoin and crypto actually is. You go down the street, you go to your grocery store, you go to, any public area and look around like the Matrix. All of those people are still plugged in. They are clueless. They have no idea. But you do. You're the one that stands out. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do with this information? So with that, I hope you guys have a good day. I will do a Facebook Live later, and I'm going to turn the camera on, and I'm going to share a story I haven't shared, wow, maybe 7 to 10 years, about the first conversation wealthy people had with me that got me into direct selling and network marketing. It was a lunch I had summer of 1998 with Congressman Patrick Kennedy and Henry Ford Jr. That conversation opened my mind to accept when I was presented in network marketing. ACM was the first thing I ever saw. If it wasn't for that lunch conversation, I would have said no. But it was the first thing before I read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad or Think and Grow Rich that opened my mind to a possibility on how I can live my life by leveraging other people instead of leveraging my own hours. And then now, I'm in my 40s, I have a different mentality. It is not about leveraging people. It is about leveraging my own money to work for me. So it doesn't matter, do I have a big organization or not? No, you evolve as you get older, as you grow, as you learn. So I'm in a new place now, but I'm going to share the very first thing that it's like a explosion happened in my head. I never heard of that concept, and I realized that wealthy people teach their children differently than the middle class and broke parents teach their kids. That was my own. You guys read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That was my Rich Dad, Poor Dad moment. My dad was telling me, and by no means am I saying my dad was poor. My dad was highly successful, but he was teaching me, go to school, get good grades, and get a good, safe, secure job. And then here's Patrick Kennedy, who comes from the Kennedy dynasty, tells me you need to find 100,000 people to give you $1 every single month. If you fail that by, and this is where I get my 90% failure rate from all the time. If you fail that by 90%, at least you have $10,000 a month coming in. Can you live on that? That's why that's stuck with me. Even to this day, I look at any opportunity, no matter what is presented, I say, if this fails by 90%, can I live with it? If the answer is yes, I move forward. Where other people, if it fails by just 10% or 20%, it didn't happen with a promise. I quit. It's a scam. I'm gone. That's why they're still on a job and I'm retired. But I'm going to share that later on. I hadn't thought about that in a very long time. So anyways, you guys have a great day. Let's make it productive. Those of you that's in economics right now, get 5 and thrive. You have a unique opportunity at the very beginning of something that is going to be huge. We have no competition, the only game in town, nobody doing what we're doing. And people can get positioned for free just to stick their head in the door. Now's the time. Have a great day, everybody. I'll see you on. I don't know what time I'll do this. Probably, I want to do it where most people will listen. So maybe this evening, Eastern time, I'll do it. Because a lot of times I'm doing it throughout the day and I forget everybody's working still. So I'll do it this evening where people are home, they had dinner, they sit back, watch the TV. Man, it gives them something to think about before they go to sleep. All right, everybody. See you all later. Bitcoin Brandon out. God bless. Bye-bye.